Hello, hello. This is the my artifact episode number 3381. Today's date is 5th of April 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:37. Sorry, 10:37 p.m. Okay, should we jump into the question? All right, let's go. Let's jump into the question. All right, yeah. Question is, what unique value does my business offer that competent don't? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, so what is exactly my business and what is actually the value that I'm providing in a business which is kind of like a something very unique? What is that? Basically is this thing na, I wanted to talk about my business, but it's just like that ki I don't want to. Why? uh Basically is this thing na ki I wanted to establish this business and things like that, and I have kind of like a something very unique idea. Okay, it's not kind of like such a idea that everyone is actually following. No, it's a very unique idea. Okay, yeah. And if I'm recording this thing in artifact, and probably someone would listen and someone steal my idea and stuff like that. So I'm bitterly scared, but I don't really think that it won't happen. Okay, why? Okay, there are a couple of things. Okay, first of all, is that the person who is that person who is actually listening to this artifact? Like, probably it's like no one. Literally, is this thing like I uploaded almost like a 3,000, 4,000 videos in my YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, and probably is no one is actually listening those. Yeah, and basically it doesn't really have any kind of like a some certain things so that people would watch or listen that artifact, because yeah. And as also is this thing, I also am not that kind of like a something like person that people would kind of like something listen to me. Okay, I'm kind of like a something very ordinary kind of like a something guy at this moment. So but still, yeah, why does people will not gonna kind of like something steal your idea and things like that? I think okay, this is my opinion, by the way. um okay, yeah. So I am a kind of like a something normal person. Okay, and I find a kind of like a something really a formula for kind of like a something like a medicine so that it would the cure the kind of like a cure the cancer, and it kind of like a work almost like 100%. Okay, yeah, I found that particular formula. Okay, yeah. So is this formula, is this kind of like a stuff kind of like a something matter to me? Well, I haven't really had any kind of like a somebody cancer. I didn't really had any kind of like a cancer in my family too. And as also is this thing, even if I get that particular formula, I don't really get it. What should I supposed to do? Okay, yeah, because I also am not that kind of like a somebody doctor person. I also not am kind of like a somebody pharmaceutical person. I don't know nothing really about what exactly is this formula and stuff like that. And I don't know what should I supposed to do it. Yeah, like one thing for sure, it kind of like a somebody cure the cancer and things like that. But it just like that, na ki even if I know that particular formula, and because of that formula I wanted to kind of like utilize this formula to making myself better or kind of like upgrade or kind of like earn money through it, how would I supposed to do that? Well, first of all is that ki whatever the formula that I have, I just have to know regarding about pharmaceutical company. I just regarding about know about that is this formula is kind of like some cure or not, or things like that. Okay, yeah. First of all, I just have to gain the information that I don't really know nothing really about. Okay, yeah, regarding about the chemical stuffs and things and that and that and that. As also is this thing, even if I know the formula and even if I wanted to make make that medicine, um, circulate that medicine in India is not possible as much. Why? Because of that key, I'm talking about the medicine. Okay, yeah. And usually is this thing, you won't be able to kind of like circulate your medicine just kind of like a something in every medical store. No, it's not. Okay, like you just have to buy a license. Okay, that license is kind of like a something uh, that license is kind of like something very essential. What is actually license? Okay, let me tell you one thing. So if you want to kind of like sell some sort of medicine, okay, yeah, in India, probably in every era, every every country on the world, okay, yeah. So what exactly is this thing? If you wanted to kind of like sell some sort of kind of like a medicine in any country, okay, yeah, that country first of all is that figure it out what is actually the configuration of that medicine, what is actually the formula, what is actually is this thing, okay, yeah, and is this formula kind of like a simply work on our people and kind of like a things, they kind of like a tested that thing, they kind of like a test that formula particular to the mouse and particular to the things, then it went to the human trial and kind of like a simply figure it out that will that kind of like a simply formula will cure the cancer or not. So basically it kind of like a that medicine kind of like a went through multiple tested, okay, yeah, multiple way it kind of like a test, and after all those things, after everything, after the human trial went successful, then you will get that particular license. And when you get that license means like that you can allow to distribute your medicine to the medical store and things like that, but prices is also kind of like a simply is this thing, okay. During this particular process I went through so many people, okay, I went through so many people, the people who are kind of like again so much information regarding about the formula, cancer cure things and stuff like that. So probably what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that key, even if I'm have a kind of like a something idea or something like that, or kind of like a something idea that could change the world and things like that, I might not gonna utilize that kind of like a things. Why? First of all is that I am not kind of like somebody experienced regarding about what I have or what is really is this thing. Another thing is that key, I don't really understand the gravity of it. Okay, yeah. Like basically, is this thing curing cancer? Yeah, this is okay, yeah. But still, is this thing na ki how much it kind of like is something important to the people? I have to understand the gravity of it. If it does not kind of like if I'm not really associated with this thing, I'm not really sure. Important thing is that na ki like you just have to understand the information. You just have to understand the gravity, how much it is important or not. Okay, yeah. And if you are kind of like a some random person, you know that kind of like a something, you have kind of like a formula for cancer cure thing, you are not really able to kind of like a make this formula as a kind of like a utilize yourself to earn money and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, it not work. Even if you get kind of like a some certain thing, it not work. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki the idea that I'm telling like regarding about business strategy and things like that in this artifact episode, people might not like even if I tell that thing, people, you think that people might gonna steal, but that is not gonna happen. Why? Because they have to understand what is actually your business, what is actually your idea, what is actually is this thing. They have to understand the gravity of it, they have to understand the everything. Okay, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Okay, yeah, like basically some people might gonna steal, like I'm not gonna say that people will not gonna steal your idea and things like that, but still what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki people need to understand the gravity. If they kind of like some people who understand the gravity of it, they might gonna utilize that information to make something better. Example is this thing, like the previous example that I mentioned regarding about I found the cure, cancer cure thing, okay, yeah. Instead of me like a basically a person who is kind of like a familiar with the pharmaceutical company, or person who is a doctor and things like that, that person found that particular cancer cure thing, then that person is kind of like a utilize that information to on a business, on money and things like that, because he knows all those things, he knows the information regarding about how do he supposed to make that particular formula to a business and to earn money and things like that. Okay, as a normal people, as a me, I don't really understand, so I don't really have kind of like some gravity about that thing, what is actually essential and important that thing. So do you get it? Okay, so don't really think about stealing your idea and things like that, okay, and don't really stop yourself for kind of like a something that people will kind of like steal that thing, it will not. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about your business. Okay, now I'm talking business right now. Okay, it's been almost like a 8 minutes, sorry, 9 minutes, I'm kind of like a talking about why does people will not gonna steal your idea and things like that, and now I'm kind of like a went into the answer. First of all, let's just talk about my business and then, okay, yeah. Okay, so question is that ki, like what is exactly the unique thing in your business that your competitor doesn't really have. Okay, yeah. First of all is that ki, what is actually unique thing in my business. Okay, what is actually my business? My business is that ki, like right now I'm not doing any kind of like assembly business, but I will, yeah. What is actually that? Okay, First of all is that the things that you are actually hearing is called artifact episode. It's kind of like a something a diary, audio diary. It's a kind of like a diary, but instead of your writing, you are kind of like a recording that thing. Okay, yeah, this is called kind of like something a diary. I am kind of like a doing this thing for almost like a 10 year, and I get lot of kind of like a really valuable thing from that particular stuff. Okay, it's a kind of like a self talk. It's kind of like a something that ki motivate myself. It's gaining information and things like that. Okay, yeah, like I understand that ki in your entire period of lifetime you might know rest of the world, but there is a one person that is very essential for you. You don't really connect with that person, and that is you. Artifact is kind of like a something a process that you actually connect with yourself. Okay, and basically this thing, what is actually that thing that you really required in your life and stuff like that. It kind of like a telling it that. So this is kind of like a something way I figure it out because of the 10 year of experience I have this thing about talking this artifact and things like that. Okay, yeah. So basically this thing, it kind of like improve me and everything, and I wanted to kind of like a something people would do the kind of like a something record their artifact and things like that and taking advantage of it. Okay, yeah. So is this thing that he, this is my kind of like a something business. Okay, yeah. So what is exactly the unique in your business that it has? Okay, yeah, that your competitor doesn't really have. Um. Okay. Okay. So first of all, is that key? You will have to understand the category of your business. Okay. My business, like this kind of like a something app, is kind of like a somewhat social media kind of like a thing that means like that people would record their artifact and upload it on my app. Okay, upload it on my. It's a kind of like a something one single app that like you just record your thing and it will automatically went to the cloud. Okay, yeah. One of the important thing is that your privacy should supposed to be clear. Means like that the person who would listen your artifact, they might not know who you are. Okay, yeah. And it is really essential to be the person who would record the artifact. They shouldn't supposed to be tell about your things and stuff like that. Just tell your story. Okay, just what exactly happened your day and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So it's a kind of like a something I'm associate. I'm thinking that my app is a kind of like a something connect with the people. Okay, yeah. So I think it's a social media probably. Okay, yeah, like a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Okay, yeah, kind of like that. So it's a social media. Okay, yeah. So how does your thing, your artifact is a kind of like something very unique? Well, unique is, yeah, it is kind of like a unique in itself. Okay, yeah. Um, Facebook is a social media app. Okay, you could share your video, images, and things like that. But by the way, no one is actually using the Facebook right now. Okay, yeah, like basically almost uh, like basically like almost like a decade ago, it was kind of like a very crazy at that time. But right now, Facebook is like only old people are using this thing. So I don't know. Yeah, like basically last time I log in at Facebook at almost like maybe years ago. Yeah, I just don't really know. I don't really have any kind of like a app, nothing really at all. So, but still I count Facebook. It still utilize some people. So I count as a Facebook is a social media app. Okay, you could share your thoughts, images, videos, and things like that. Okay, yeah. Same as Instagram. Okay, yeah. Instagram is also kind of like a same thing, but you shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a something share your thoughts. No, you just have to share your photos and reels and videos in social media platform. uh, YouTube, in other hand, is a kind of like a very different game. Okay, YouTube is a kind of like a something social media, but it's not kind of like a something for the every kind of people. Means like that, ki like in Instagram, if I wanted to share some sort of photo, I took the photo, uploaded on the Instagram. That's it. But in YouTube, it's a different game. YouTube is not kind of like a sharing photo. It's a kind of like a video sharing platform. Okay, yeah. So basically, it's not that kind of like a something as easy as you think it is. Okay, yeah, because in Instagram you kind of like make a video and kind of like upload it on Instagram. Couple of people will find out, and yeah, and as also is this thing in Instagram, they have kind of like so many people who are kind of like a close people, your friend and people around you. Yeah, but in YouTube platform, it's a very different game. In YouTube, like it's a kind of like a something a creator. Okay, I mean it's like that the person who create the content. Okay, like basically is this thing na, कि in YouTube, the people who actually upload videos on YouTube platform are called as creator. Okay, they kind of like create the video, they put the effort and things like that, and they make the kind of like a something video and upload it on the YouTube platform. Okay, yeah. It's a kind of like a something a profession too. Okay, yeah, because uploading photos or uploading videos on Instagram, it's not kind of like a called as a profession. Yeah, like some people are kind of like something called as an influencer and things like that. Yeah, it's another game too. Like they also called as a content creator too, because let me tell you one thing, when you are putting effort to create the content, that is called content creator. That means you are earning money from it. Okay, yeah. So when you are doing this thing, when you are applying this thing on Instagram, you are content creator. If you are just uploading your photo without any kind of like doing anything, that is kind of like something called as a normal people doing such a thing. Okay, yeah. Do you get it? Okay, yeah. YouTube is a kind of like a very different game. Like you should supposed to be a know about editing and things like that, and then you make the content, then upload on the YouTube platform, and then people will see and stuff like that. And as also it takes time. It takes really amount of time to kind of like a something lead grow your YouTube channel, things like that. So yeah. Okay, my artifact is kind of like a very different game. My artifact is kind of like a simply, it's not kind of like a simply any video sharing app or any kind of like a photo sharing app or any text sharing app. No, it's a audio thing. Okay, it's a kind of like a something that people would record their thoughts, like a basically the stuff I'm kind of like a saying this thing in my artifact. This exactly it is. Okay, people would kind of like a record their thoughts, like a basically this thing in my app. There is kind of like a something like they are using this like it's same thing, like basically I'm recording this thing in my mobile phone now. Like a mobile phone has a kind of like a something microphone who kind of like record that audio and things like that. So same thing happened with the app too. Okay, yeah. So they will kind of like something people who talk about stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. It's a thought process. Okay, yeah. It's a thought, like a basically this thing na, the stuff I'm talking right now is kind of like a very different than I usually talk in a everyday life, because everyday life I didn't really talk that much kind of like a something very directly and kind of like a something very, no, it's my thought. Okay, and basically it's a raw and things like that. It comes with my experience and information and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, Instagram is a kind of like a photo video sharing app. YouTube is a kind of like a simply video sharing app. Facebook is a photo video sharing app. Okay, yeah. My artifact is a what makes it actually unique is thought sharing app. Okay, means like that you are sharing your thoughts. Okay, yeah. Probably good or bad, whatever it is. Okay, no one is actually judging. Like a people would kind of like somebody listen, they might gonna judge. Okay, yeah. But like it's a thought sharing app. Okay, like whatever inside of you, you just have to record that thing and you just hit the publish. People will listen and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So it's a kind of like a thought sharing app. Okay, so that makes it kind of like a something very uniqueness. Okay, yeah. All right. Like basically this is, you know, when I kind of like simply talk about stuff and stuff like that, I just feel really good. Okay, yeah. Okay, so first of all is that ChatGPT is kind of like a mention some sort of answer. Okay, recommend some sort of answer. Okay, your artifact episode, the new concept, unlike the typical self-improving concept, you introduced structure method of deep self-reflection. It's a blend with journalism, storytelling, and self-aware, which few creator explore and systematic way. Yeah, high quality production and visual storytelling. No, in my app there is no visual story, there is no kind of like a simply photo or any kind of like a video. You won't be able to share that thing. You just kind of like a share only audio thing. Okay, yeah. Authenticity and reliability. Yeah, like basically I wanted to kind of like a simply make unique, make this app kind of like something unique. Is that authenticity means like that people would kind of like a record their thought as authentic, as kind of like a something raw, as kind of like a something original as it is. Okay, yeah. Multilingering age Hindi medium. Yeah, like basically this is thing, my app is kind of like a something supporting all kind of like so many people who kind of like speak multiple language, like I'm speaking English, people would kind of like speak multiple language, Hindi, Marathi, Urdu, Sanskrit, Chinese, Mandarin, Spanish, then like there are so many language, I'm not really sure, but yeah. Blend through thought-provoking and actionable content, like you don't have to 5 tips. Yeah, these are kind of like stuff. How leverage these unique values? Okay, blend the artifact concept more prominently, create the influence, monetize. Oh yeah, monetization. Yeah, should I supposed to add any kind of like some monetization in my app. What's the monetization? Okay, so monetization means like that, na ki okay, let me kind of like giving you examples so that you might gonna understand. Okay, yeah. So in YouTube, okay, when you are kind of like somebody uploading your videos and uploading on videos on YouTube platform, and you will get kind of like somebody like so many views and things like that, in million amount of views, you will get some sort of subscriber and kind of like somebody's this thing. Okay, yeah. So that means that na ki you are kind of like somebody influencing people about your content and things like that. Okay, yeah. And when I get kind of like somebody so many views and things like that, people will kind YouTube is kind of like a something giving me some sort of money regarding about that ki your content is really good, people will like it, people is subscribing, so here are some sort of money. Okay, yeah. That money is actually depend on that ki how much your content is good and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing na ki YouTube is kind of like a paying you some sort of money to how good is your content. Okay, I might do the same thing because artifact is also kind of like a something like content. It's not content, it's a kind of like a somebody thought. So if I start this kind of like somebody monetization system, then people will encourage to record their artifact and stuff like that. So yeah, can I do that thing? Well, let me tell you one thing. Now there are a couple of problems are here. Okay, yeah. Basically it's this thing na ki let me tell you one thing. The YouTuber, people who kind of like somebody make videos on YouTube platform, they called as a YouTuber. Okay, and they are kind of like somebody profession. Means like that. Right now, I also a YouTuber. Okay, I actually kind of like create the content regarding about graphic designing, Photoshop, photography, and things like that. Okay, yeah. So I have particular experience regarding about that stuff. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing the kind of like a YouTube is not kind of like a something giving me any kind of like a something money at this moment, because I don't really have that many subscribers or things like that. But one of the important thing is that na, ki because of YouTube I'm actually improving my craft. Okay, improving my craft and things like that. But in artifact is a kind of like a something like thought sharing things. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing the people who kind of like a something record their thoughts and things like that. If I started doing monetization means like that ki like a YouTube and things like that, like a subscriber and stuff like that, then probably is this thing ki people will definitely gonna record their artifact. Okay, yeah. Every single day, which is kind of like something really good. But one of the most important thing is that ki they would kind of like something do too much important for recording artifact. Okay, yeah. Means like that ki they would kind of like somebody lie. What do you mean by lie? Okay, yeah. Let me give you some sort of statistic. Okay, yeah. So usually like I'm doing this recording artifact for like I'm recording artifact for almost like a 10 year. Okay, yeah. I usually record after I eat my dinner. Okay, for almost like half an hour. Okay, yeah. Because of artifact, I kind of like a record this artifact for kind of like a somebody understanding me, gaining some sort of values, understanding about my thought process and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. Artifact is kind of like a something directly went into your thought process and kind of like a improve your things and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. And it kind of like a somebody helped me to take kind of like a somebody bigger decision regarding about what is actually good in my life and stuff like that. No one is actually giving me any kind of like somebody money to do all those stuff, nothing really at all. By the way, if you are kind of like listening this thing on YouTube platform, like I have almost like a 35 subscriber, and like basically in the future I might gonna have almost like a couple of thousands of subscriber in over there. But probably is this thing one of like a basically I uploaded in 2020-25. Okay, all those episodes, and I'm recording this thing since 2015. So basically last almost like a 10 year haven't really uploaded on my artifact in anywhere at all. Like basically like a year ago I kind of like a thought that ki, what if I kind of like a make this business and stuff like that, and that's why kind of like a somebody upload those artifacts. It's a very another story. Okay, I'm gonna tell you after that. But what I'm trying to tell you is this thing ki I don't want to people who'd earn money through artifact recording artifact. Why? Because that key they think like when people will getting some sort of money from doing some sort of thing, then they are putting so much important to do that, then they are putting so much value to do that thing. What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah. It's a kind of like a something very different game, but still I'm kind of like explaining this thing as simple as possible as I can. Okay, yeah. And I also kind of like a simply reference to a YouTube thing, because like basically YouTube and Artifact is kind of like a somewhat kind of like a something similar. YouTube is a video sharing app. My Artifact is a kind of like a audio sharing app. Okay, yeah. As a YouTuber, I also kind of like a telling you from YouTube point of perspective. I make a video regarding about kind of like I make a kind of like a something a video. Okay, a kind of like a something video about a music video. Okay, a music video. In that music video, there is a girl, there is a boy. It's a love story. Okay, yeah. But I kind of like a show that particular. I kind of like a shoot that particular music video in kind of like a something very explicit way. Explicit way means like that, little bit of sexual and things like that. Okay, yeah. And that video went really viral. Okay, and it get almost like a millions of views. Okay, yeah. So what is exactly like if I wanted to make another video, then what should I supposed to do? That key I have to shoot exactly like the previous one. Means like that key make a video a little bit of explicit. Explicit means like that you are not kind of like a showing the nudity. No, you are kind of like a simply showing little bit of sexual stuff like a cleavage and things like that. Like a not too much nudity, but still somehow kind of like a relevant to little bit of sexual. Okay, like a kissing someone or kind of like a something is this thing. Okay, like a little bit of romanticize and stuff like that, but through sexual way. Okay, yeah. And that video also went really viral. So what exactly is this thing? The YouTube works when you are kind of like a creator content regarding about particular genre, and you are kind of like a being really consistent. Means like that ki take an example as a Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast actually kind of like a something making video regarding about money. Okay, yeah. Like in his title, he kind of like a something giving the people this money, that much amount of money, like a $10,000, like $100,000, $1 million, and things like that. Okay, yeah. So basically, is this thing a Mr. Beast has a kind of like a something a unique selling point regarding about money. Okay, means like that ki this person is kind of like a giving money to the people and stuff like that, and he kind of like a make the video regarding about it. In if you wanted to kind of like a something improve your game on YouTube platform, you just have to stick with the genre that you are created and kind of like upgrade that thing. Okay, yeah. So basically every creator is follows that. Means like that every creator has some sort of genre, a tech genre or things like that. Means like that their entire channel is actually based on technology. They are talking about money, they are talking about the mobile phones, new technology. Like a tech MKBHD. MKBHD is a tech reviewer who kind of like a review the mobile phone and things like that. He's not kind of like a somebody uploading vlog directly. No, he's not. Okay, it's a kind of like a something very different. Okay, yeah. He always make a video regarding about tech and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: a YouTube is kind of like a something you earn money from YouTube, because that key you will gain some sort of audience. That audience is kind of like a kind of like a somethingly that expecting yourself that you should supposed to be talk about the tech community, talk about kind of like a specific amount of genre and things like that. Okay, YouTube is kind of like a letting you to kind of like a something stick with the specific genre that you are created and stick with that. Okay, yeah. And then you build the community, then you build the subscriber, then you build the sponsorship. It's yeah, like a different game. Okay, yeah. But it's a kind of like a something stick with that particular genre. Okay, now I wanted to kind of like a something, and because of this thing, because of that thing, because of that kind of like a sticking with the genre and things like that, YouTube is kind of like a giving you some sort of money. Okay, yeah. Now like this is the YouTube game. Okay, now let's kind of like a replicate this thing into the Artifact. Okay, yeah, Artifact. When I'm recording the Artifact, I didn't really talk about just kind of like a something the specific stuff. No, I just talk about any random stuff. Like this is my thought process. In my thought process, I talk about science, I talk about my decision, I talk about my life, I talk about my love, I talk about kind of like a my fucked up mistake, I talk about business, I talk about like basically this is my thought. It comes with there are so many millions of thoughts. Okay, yeah. So basically this thing, every Artifact episode is kind of like a different than previous. Okay, because it's my thought, it's a random thing. Alright, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: imagine there is a guy who is kind of like recording the Artifact, and in his recording, in his Artifact, he kind of like a mention about first time he had a sex. Okay, like he mentioned that he this, he that, he did that, and that Artifact went really viral. People will started liking it. People will kind of like a something, yeah, something like that. So basically what is actually this thing, he realized that that artifact went really viral. So what if I kind of like a record this thing, means like that I would lie that I kind of like simply had a sex with this person and that person, and I just have to lie. Who would know, like basically I'm recording the artifact, who is kind of like a justify. So basically he was kind of like a lie again. Okay, and he get almost like a millions of views and things like that, and he do those things again and again and again. Like it's kind of like a something really wrong now. Like basically I started a recording artifact is because of kind of like a something authenticity. It's kind of like a something that I would be honest with myself and stuff like that, because it's a kind of like a something connection between me and myself. Okay, yeah, if that particular person who's talking about, at first time he was talking about the sex, like a first time he had a sex, he was brutally honest, but second time he lie, third time he lie, fourth time he lie. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing now, he was kind of like a lie. Because of that that particular genre regarding about sex talk, people are started liking it, and that's why he was kind of like a lie to himself regarding about his sex with this person and that person. If he didn't really lie, then what should he supposed to do is that he started doing sex with some sort of random stranger and things like that. Now it's kind of like a something artifact is kind of like a prevent, kind of like a something letting you do the things that he don't want. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing na ki I want that ki artifact episode is a kind of like a reflection of your life. Okay, yeah. It's not other way around. Like basically is this thing, it's not kind of like a something your life is reflection to the artifact. No, it's not. I don't want to like a, I don't want to people called as a kind of like a something like a people who call like a usually people called as a YouTuber and things like that. I don't want to be people called as a artifactor or things like that. It's a very different, no, nothing really at all. I don't want to be people who will kind of like a something something really that key something really that key people would lie to themselves or things like that. Because when you involve some sort of money, then people would kind of like a something forced to record the artifact. Okay, and that is I don't want. Okay, like basically if you are forcing yourself to record the artifact, then you are not being honest. You are kind of like a something that key, it's not okay. It's not like a freedom is really essential to be honesty. Okay, yeah. And basically if I'm kind of like a bounded because of kind of like I'm actually earning money through the artifact because of the monetization system and stuff like that, then this might be really wrong. Because it kind of like the one reason that I started this artifact is because of kind of like somebody gaining some sort of values in my life to myself and things like that. Okay, yeah. And as also it work with others too. Okay, yeah. But it's just like that I don't want to be people would kind of like a something do this for money. Because if it involve money, then it is kind of like a people will take it very wrong way. Okay, and basically artifact is kind of like a something connected so deeply that it just like a so much. Example is this thing, what if like a take example is that there is a guy who's kind of like a lie about his sex and things like that. Millions of people would kind of like a listen to this artifact, and they would kind of like a something influence about this thought process, and they would kind of like a do that thing, a sex thing and stuff like that. Because yeah, or else like there is a guy who kind of like a something talking about the drugs, and he kind of like a telling a story about how he felt after he took the drugs. Okay, yeah. Like when that particular stuff happened, people would kind of like listen his artifact, and they would kind of like a something influence to take a drugs, which is really bad now, really bad. Like let me tell you one thing now, artifact is a kind of like a process that you actually improve yourself much better. But it is also really equal to it will give you, it will kind of like a let you to be like a exploit or kind of like a destroy your life as much as it is. Okay, means like that. Okay, artifact is kind of like a improve your quality and things like that. If you are take it your artifact with really right way. If you are kind of like a utilizing your artifact for kind of like a drugs and sex and things like basically I'm not kind of like a somebody stopping to do all those things. Like basically freedom is really essential, and I also wanted to be my artifact, my kind of like some platform to kind of like a some of the people would kind of like express their thoughts and things like that. And obviously some of the thoughts are kind of like a different than we are kind of like expecting. Means like that ki drugs and things like that, it kind of like a people have that kind of like a some people who kind of like a consume that thing. I am not preventing to do that, but I am kind of like a letting them stop to not to influence other people. Okay, because if you are consuming your drugs and things like that, that is okay, but do not influence to the other people. Okay, yeah, not in my platform, because I don't want to be. Okay, yeah, it's people will take it really bad way, and basically it kind of like a somebody so much crazy cycle is actually happened. Okay, yeah, I don't want to be. Okay, yeah, and if it involve money, means like monetization, then probably it went to the another hellhole. So I have to be kind of like a prevent this monetization system. Okay, like basically is this thing ki, um, they shouldn't supposed to be get earn money through this artifact and things like that. Okay, because it's not good. Okay, it's not good. At this moment I have this kind of like a some information that I'm telling you. In the future I kind of like a something might have some sort of ways to figure it out, or kind of like a stuff that, because I don't know. Okay, I'm not really sure. Okay, like basically I haven't really built the app. I haven't really built this particular stuff. I don't really have that much information what will gonna happen next. But regarding about the experience that I have, like basically I shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a monetize this thing. Okay, yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I still not really sure what will gonna happen in the future. But this is my opinion that I shouldn't supposed to be run the monetization system in my artifact. I think probably whatever. So this is it. I should supposed to be end here, and thank you.